Hey guys, I am Dr. Kim Sage. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. Welcome to my YouTube channel and to this series on healing your attachment wounds and disturbances. And what I mean by disturbances is sort of like the initial environment you came into as an infant in terms of your attachment. If you are new here, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell, and that way you'll get notified when I post new videos. Okay, today's video is going to just do a deeper dive into the concepts around polyvagal theory and your nervous system and attachment theory, because you cannot really work on healing your attachment disturbances without understanding how that environment, those experiences landed in your body and how they play out today, and also learning how to sort of harness and soothe and ground and connect yourself when you feel out of sorts, when you feel that more fight or flight or that more collapsed state, as we talk about often. So at the core, I'm going to break it down using Deb Dana's work, and I will link a few things down below. She basically took Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory and really made it sort of more palatable for those of us. She basically dumbed it down, let me be honest, for those of us to understand, like, what does this really mean? How does this work? So the core is this, that we are really biological creatures responding from our nervous systems at all time. Our nervous system is looking around saying, am I safe? Am I unsafe? You know, what's happening inside of me and outside and around me? And there are three basic states that we talk about in polyvagal theory. Ventral vagal, both with V's, sympathetic, and dorsal vagal. And it kind of works like a ladder. So you have ventral vagal, sympathetic, and dorsal vagal. Now these three words also kind of can correspond a bit with attachment styles. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. But the idea is that when we're in a more ventral vagal place, and by the way, this all connects to the vagus nerve, but the vagus nerve is really a highway, right? It's like it's a connector for all these experiences to happen. So I don't want you to get too hung up on what that is and what it does, and Dr. Porges doesn't want you to either, but to understand the mechanisms, right? So we have ventral vagal, which is like a place of connection. We're connected, we feel more a sense of well-being, we can take in information and respond. You know, it's that sort of place you feel when you're just, everything's kind of okay, and you're talking to somebody and you feel safe and connected, or you're doing yoga, right? It's any of those kinds of things. Then we have the sympathetic, and that's often considered your fight or flight. That's what's mobilized. It's called mobilized. Basically, fight or flight doesn't go far enough, but it's like this idea of I have to like get ready, I have to gather resources to do something because something in the environment is making me realize I need to like protect myself or prepare myself for something. And the last state is the dorsal vagal. And that is really a place of like, historically there was kind of referred to as the rest and digest. It even deeper can be the more collapsed, disconnected state, right? It's really a dropping down, a way down, that freeze state, right? And so basically what's happening is that's the thing where we might play dead to protect ourselves. We might see a lot of shut down behavior, a disengagement, you know, I don't feel safe behavior, that kind of stuff. And so at all times, our bodies are going through these states. Now, depending upon what kind of caregivers you had, right, their nervous systems were in those states and going through those states as well. But, for example, a more anxiously attached person, let's say your caregiver was anxiously attached, they're living more in that sympathetic state. They're not as easily able to get to that calm dorsal vagal because they're more anxious, they're more stressed, they're not as available to you. You're sort of trying to figure out, are they there? Are they not there? They're more fear-based, right? So if you're an infant and your caregiver is more anxious, their nervous system is going to have that more frenetic kind of energy more often. And you have to meet their nervous system to survive, right? You have to figure out, what do they need me to be? How do I respond to make connection, to get your needs met, and things like that. And same thing with dorsal vagal, which can often be compared at times to more avoidant. It's a more disengaged, disconnected type style, right? And so all of these nervous system responses are happening in our bodies at all times. And that is what's being activated when you're, let's say, having a trauma trigger, but there's like nothing, there's no reason to go there, right? Let's say you're having anxiety for no reason, because when you were a child, perhaps you had a lot of anxiety. Your nervous system was elevating and responding to the caregiver. And so the idea is that the nervous system responds in our biology, it just does. It's like a reflex. We're not doing it on purpose. It's happening below awareness. It's just happening like that at all times. It's like if I'm sitting here talking to you and all of a sudden somebody crashes into my door, or I hear a dog barking outside like it's attacking someone, very quickly like that, my heart rate's gonna go up. I'm gonna like feel stressed. If someone crashes through the door or starts pounding on the door, that's a scary thing. I'm gonna go from ventral vagal, just sitting here talking to you, having some coffee, into a very sympathetic response of like, oh my God, what do I do now, right? I didn't plan that. My body just did it, okay? So basically, our bodies are responding at all times based on the environment. And then the idea behind polyvagal theory is that then we make a story to go with that. So the way it's expressed is story follows state. The story we make up follows whatever state is happening in our bodies, right? So at all times we're having this ladder of these responses. We're all doing this in our nervous systems. We're at ventral vagal, we're sympathetic, we're mobilized, or we're immobilized in that dorsal vagal. We're kind of collapsed and shut down. And so that is the heart of polyvagal theory. And so why it matters is because no matter what your caregiver's attachment style was, or I should say not no matter, but depending upon your caregiver's style, they were operating more often than not in these certain patterns of their own nervous systems. And so, for example, if they were, like I said, more anxious, maybe they were often in fight or flight. If they were more collapsed or shut down or depressed, maybe more dorsal vagal. If they kind of went from one to the other, they were often, anxious, they were collapsed. That makes sense. That's more of a disorganized attachment style. And so as a baby, as an infant, you're internalizing all of these responses and meeting them nervous system to nervous system. And so you're matching your nervous system, except for that may not be the healthiest way for you to engage in life, right? Or the most peaceful and calm way to engage. So the challenge is to learn how to get back into connection, into ventral vagal in ways that are helpful. Now we need to be sympathetic at times. We need to be activated to fight or flight. We need to maybe shut down and collapse sometimes. So it's not about never being in those other states, but about working on getting yourself out and recognizing when you are not in those states. And then we're going to talk in the next video about how to do that. So at the core, you have to understand, the bottom line of this video is that our nervous systems at all times are holding hands with the attachment dynamic, right? They're just one and the same. Our bodies are responding to our parents' response. That's that reciprocal behavior. Am I getting my needs met? What does love look like? What does stress look like? What does safety look like? What does danger look like? And all of that is playing out now. So the only way to begin to truly work on your attachment is to also work on soothing and calming your body when it's in, let's say, a sympathetic state that you don't really need to be in. Like I've said before, if I come through the door after work and my kids blew off their chores and they didn't do it, and I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and a couple things, I feel unappreciated or like I don't matter, childhood, that's a trigger, and my mom was super angry and stressed a lot at dinner time, or I felt alone at dinner time, like that whole thing is super triggering. And I just took myself out of the fact that all it was a disregard for chores, that I could come in and say, hey guys, I noticed you didn't do your chores, it's not okay, these are the consequences if you don't, blah, blah, blah. No, I just got plucked out and transported into I'm super pissed right now, they don't respect me, and blah, 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 right? And I could start yelling, I could like lose it, which is fair, we've all done it, but like that as a parent is not serving the greater purpose, which is to teach my kids and for me to set and hold boundaries, and for them to learn to set, hold, and respect boundaries. we just get, that's the whole idea of emotional flashbacks or trauma triggers. We just go somewhere else, right? And so that's what we're trying to heal in this series, is like not getting ourselves so freaked out, so out of control, or so shut down and collapsed that we cannot handle our lives or our relationships. So we're going to talk more about this. I go into even more detail in my course, and I'll probably do other courses if the borderline or narcissism parent doesn't relate to you. I will be doing other courses down the road, which will also talk more about this theory, and I will continue to talk more about Polyvagal Theory. But at the heart of it, I really want you to understand that learning how to heal and nurture and manage these things in your body are the key, right? And so as we're finishing this video, I'll just give you one quick example. So one way to sort of help our bodies to either mobilize or slow down mobilization is this. If you're going to breathe in for a count of 10, it works like this. If I need to get more mobilized and more energized, I'm going to inhale longer, like 1 to 5 or 6, then I'm going to exhale. So try it yourself, right? So you're going to inhale more than exhale. That would give you, let's say if you're kind of shut down, you can't really get motivated, that would give you more energy. Inversely, if you want to do the opposite and you want to just like slow down, you would actually breathe in for a 4 or 5 count, but you would exhale longer. That activates that vagus nerve and slows things down, right? So I'll list this down in the video too, but it's basically like even just breathing can matter. But we're going to talk more in the next few videos, or at least one more video about this idea and some things you can do. And then we're going to go into the attachment styles specifically and talk about those styles and what needs to heal. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to join me in this little growing community. And also check me out on TikTok for more daily content. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.